Yo, 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 Professor Snizzle in the potions hizzle. It's your boy Snape, gonna teach you lot about potions, boy. Potions is good for everything. Potions get them galleons. Potions get super fine hoes.
In case you hadn't heard, they've made Professor Snape in the new Harry Potter series a black guy. And as only the internet can, it's reacted rather creatively.
Harry Potter? Sup, player?
Your old man used to call me the inward when we was at school.
This is so foul.
Does anyone want to pass to say the inward?
Jesus Christ, man. What am I watching?
I'm Black Snape.
By the way, how cool does that outfit? Like, there's never been a single wizard in any Harry Potter movie who looked as cool as that right now. He looks more like Neo from The Matrix.
Black cloak, black skin. Walk the hall, they whispering. Cauldron bubble, I'm different. Dark eyes don't flinch, just glimmering. House points, man, miss me. Came from pain, they history.
Can't lie, feeling it, feeling it.
They fear they diss me, but they copy my brew, still sip me. Side eye from the portrait.
This just got even more interesting. 10 points, Gryffindor. Sorry, getting carried away. My Gryffindor red on, you see.
From, had to learn from the alleys in the torch. Half prince in the world they hate. Half rage in the narrow gate.
What the fuck has AI become? How did it go from, like, struggling to watch Will Smith eat spaghetti to, like, Black Snape doing the fucking rap to all these kids, man? Let's see what else they got for us.
Ron! That's Harry Potter. Are you really Harry Potter, my G? Shh.
Type shit, type shit.
Type shit, type shit.
None of that, broski. We're all here on the Maybach Express for one reason and one reason only, and that's to go to Dripwarts, the school of drip.
The original Harry Potter cast are so lucky they missed out on this era, because these people are going to be tortured. You've got Snape Dog. Yeah, you get where they're going with it. Sort of stereotyping it, you know? So they've got the original. You've got your mother's eyes, Harry. And then the new one is...
You got your mama's ass, Harry.
This tweet says, I'm the half-blood prince. Half-blood, half-crip. I've seen this one a lot, actually. This guy obviously was in Star Wars. A lot of people are crying, saying, you know, why wasn't he chosen to be Snape? He clearly looks a lot like him. And look, that's not the only complaint. There's been a fuck ton. The dislikes on this video are in the hundreds of thousands. People are legit raging about the fact that they've cast a black guy as Snape. Now, is that just because they're just massive racists? Well, we're going to get into it today. We're going to explore why this has prompted such a backlash. Because you know me, I don't hold back. I tackle every topic, no matter how much every other creator would say avoid this. But before we get into all of that, we have to give a massive shout out to today's sponsor. Let me tell you about the most important app of this generation, because if you haven't got it yet, you absolutely need it. This is non-negotiable, lads, because for generations, men like me and you, we were able to view the female form online without persecution, without being made to feel like some sort of degenerate, being forced to scan our faces and enter our details as if we're doing something wrong. But in the UK, that is the new reality. That's the new normal. Well, not under my roof, it's not. And that is thanks to Surfshark. You see, I put my faith in Surfshark because it's a life-changing experience, this. And the best bit about it is its simplicity. You click on Surfshark on your phone, on your computer, on your app, whatever. Click I'm in America, 2 clicks, and boom. All of this nonsense that we're living with is removed, and I can be free to enjoy myself again without having to go through this nonsense. I'm a grown man, for God's sakes. And I can also enjoy football and boxing and fighting and other things that I can now have a little watch of. So if you want to cut through the red tape and enjoy your life to the fullest, download Surfshark immediately, right now. And when you do, please use my code. That would be great. Thanks. Just click the link in the description below, go to surfshark.com/Geordie, and you'll get 4 months extra of Surfshark added onto your deal for free. I've given you a lot of content over the years, lads, but just consider this is brotherhood stuff. Do you know what I mean? We got to look after each other in these times. And it's less than the price of a coffee a month, lads. So get it done. It's an easy win and you'll enjoy it. Big love to the greatness of Surfshark. But for now, enjoy the video. So this is what Severus Snape was depicted as in the Harry Potter books. And I have to admit, I am a little bit of a closet Harry Potter fan. Go on, get your digs in. And as you can see, like, white guy, hooked nose, pale skin, long greasy hair. That was the description given by J.K. Rowling, which is one of the reasons why people loved Alan Rickman's version of Snape. Obviously, his performance was amazing, but he was so alike the description in the book. And I think it's fair to say that the actor who they've cast, Papa Esidu, I think is how you say his name. Sorry if I butchered that. It's a departure from the original description of Snape. Now, there has been, and I am not joking, millions of tweets about this. So I'm going to pick a few out. We're just going to go through what the general reason is why people are pissed off. So this guy says Snape is known as an ugly white man who has mentioned to have bad skin, nose, and hair. Are the white characters now going to say that they don't like Esidu's skin, nose, and hair? Laugh my arse off. Yeah, that's the interesting bit, is how the change impacts the way the other characters are also depicted. Because we know Harry Potter's dad famously bullies this guy. And all of a sudden, that looks a little bit racist, I'm afraid. We're going to make Harry Potter look like he was born into the KKK now. Obviously, they wanted a race swap, but even with that, the dude looks like he will go up against Idris Elba for the role of James Bond. Snape would be the last role I would consider him for. And yeah, like, Snape wasn't cool. He was an outsider. He was a loser. He wasn't handsome. This guy is not ticking those boxes. He looks cool as fuck. Snape looks like an older professor, you know, maybe even a little overweight. His clothing isn't cool. It's very professor-like, even though it's a wizard. That looks like leather. Like, he looks badass. This superfan, who's actually called Severus Snape, said, I want to make this clear, this isn't about race for them, basically. They've said, I'm sure he's a phenomenal actor, but he's not Snape. Nothing about him fits the description of Professor Snape. Why should the integrity of the book and the story we all love so much suffer because they're trying to change characters? It makes no sense. This girl says, if they were going to go woke and pick a black actor, they should have at least gone with one that looked unpleasant. This girl says, Lily is a stronger woman than me, meaning Harry Potter's mum, who picks Harry Potter's dad instead of Snape, meaning that doesn't work now because this guy is better looking than Harry Potter's dad. This girl underneath says, yeah, he's too beautiful to be Snape. And it's ironic because Alan Rickman definitely changed his appearance to fit that description. If you look at Alan Rickman and other stuff with his beard and whatnot, like, it really changes the way he looks, in my opinion. So, like, it was clearly a conscious thing for him to be loyal to the original look. And someone's actually done an AI version of, like, if you're going off the book, what he should look like. And it is kind of mad, really, isn't it? Like that, because that does not... It doesn't look like the character that they've chosen. He looks like an ugly pale fucker. And this girl points out, everyone who picks on Snape is now going to be labelled racist. Obviously, they bully him when he was a younger kid at school himself in the movie. And she said in 2025, they would never let the silent hero of this series be a white man. What a shame. And look, I can be here all fucking day reading these tweets. There are millions of them. People are upset. And I think in order to try and understand why they're so upset, we have to actually look at, like, why this character means so much. If you were to go through movie history and try and think of a character who was in 8 movies, and only on the 8th movie, right at the very end, do you find out his true agenda, whether he's good or evil. How many characters have been like that in film history? It's unheard of. He kept the audience in suspense. He kept the other characters in suspense. No one knew what his real motive was. And only when he sacrifices himself, essentially, at the end and dies, do you find out his loyalty to Harry Potter's mother and the level of love he had for her for all of those years, even long after she died. It's one of the most purest forms of heroism you will see on the screen. He was happy to be misunderstood, in fact hated, for a cause bigger than himself, which makes him very admirable. And there isn't really a love story like that throughout Harry Potter until you find out that there was one all along, really. That moment in Harry Potter, even though it's called Harry Potter, it's about Harry Potter and his friends and Voldemort and all of that, when he says to Dumbledore in the memory that some of you have seen,
after all this time, always.
That moment is the most powerful moment in the entire series of Harry Potter. So to say people are attached to this guy is an understatement. People are mental about Harry Potter, let alone that moment. And many people, for a start, just feel like characters should be cast based on the depiction from the author. You should try and stay as close to the source material as possible. And I think that's even more increased when we've already seen them made as movies and you have another version of him that was so amazing. It just matters to people. And look, should it? Because some people are acting like this ruins the whole thing. And I'm like, well, if it was Harry Potter himself, then I would understand more. Like, I think when it comes to main characters, even though Snape was a huge part of it, especially at the end, people kind of require their main character to fit what they've known it to be from the original time that they've seen it. So with Harry Potter, we see him as a skinny little white lad. He's got shit hair. He's got glasses. He's got a scar on his head. Those are the core things that we associate with the name Harry Potter immediately. And if you look at the kids that they've cast, I mean, yeah, they tick the boxes. They look like the original cast. I think if they changed Harry, then it would feel completely inauthentic to the originals, which is why people have pushed back on Snow White recently and the Little Mermaid, who completely changed the way they looked. Snow White became Snow Brown. The Little Mermaid went from a ginger princess to an African-American princess. When the visual features of the main characters get changed significantly, people lose their minds because it stops feeling like a new version of the thing they loved and it starts feeling like a reinvention completely. Like someone's fucking around with what they loved, and that is not happening. Not online. Not on their watch. And look, it's easy to say, oh, racism or whatever. And look, of course there's racists, man. Of course there is. But if you take Blade, for example, who ironically looks quite close to the new Professor Snape there with the black leather coat on. If they try to remake Blade and have a white guy play him, it just wouldn't fucking work. Because now in my head, after his iconic performances, it's a cool, badass black dude. That's who he is. And people would react the same way of like, what the fuck are we doing? It's Blade. He's a black guy. But that wouldn't happen though. And I think that's part of the anger here is you wouldn't see that happen because the race changing historically is for towards a minority, isn't it? And from reading a lot of these tweets and a lot more than I've shown here, that's where the anger is coming from. It's this feeling of, oh, we're sick of this agenda. We want you to follow the source material, not what's politically correct. And the HBO creators of the show, they haven't really addressed this, but there are some creators like Guardian of the Galaxy creator. He said the reason why they do race swapping is because 95% of all superheroes have historically been white, and it just makes sense as we start adapting them to film in the modern era that some characters who were originally white become another ethnicity to more accurately reflect our world. Now that's a clear acknowledgement that it isn't about like we're picking people based on talent. He never said that. He said it's a conscious decision to move in that direction. They want to boost representation to show how politically correct their studio is and look good. And even the reason he gave it seemed quite a reasonable response to me. But like equally, when J.K. Rowling wrote the books, it was in the 90s. Like there were black people in the UK. There are some black people in the Harry Potter movies previously even. Mind you, they have been criticised for not being represented enough, and maybe this is a response to that. And as reasonable as what that guy said was, the movie and TV industry have gone way beyond what he said. CBS in America have set a policy that for reality TV shows 50% of the cast need to be people of colour. And the BBC have major targets on screen and off screen, and they've even got a fund of 100 million together called the Diversity Fund, whatever that means. Even the Oscars, the Best Picture eligibility rules, so before you can even get nominated, doesn't matter if your movie's good, this is the first point of getting into entry to even get a nomination. You have to meet the requirements, and I'll read this. It says a significant supporting actor from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group, or at least 30% of the cast from underrepresented groups. So you can't even get a nomination without ticking boxes. Doesn't matter how good your movie is. And what's mad is it's not even just the movies that's subject to this sort of political correctness. It's even gaming recently. There was a game I was playing. It got a really bad review because it didn't have enough LGBT representation in it. Now, to be fair, they have cast a lesbian as Harry, so I think they've got that covered. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, God, I'm a terrible person. And that's Malfoy as well, by the way. So, like, literally, this is going to look like just a heated lesbian situation here on camera. Do you know, statistically, they do hit each other the most? Fucking hell, shut up, man. Now, what's ironic about all of these diversity policies is in trying to help underrepresented groups, they now undermine the idea that the people who are given these roles are there based on talent. Because people know there's a quota to fill here. And that, for me, is a massive issue. Because this guy who they've given the role of Snape to, he's probably so fucking talented. He's probably amazing. I've seen an interview with him. Does a lot of theatre work. He's a very well-spoken, well-educated man. Ironically, a far cry from the way the AI internet is depicting him right now. Couldn't be more different, in fact. But the backdrop of these policies and the changes that people are seeing made to their favourite Disney movies will make people question immediately, is he really there on talent? And isn't that a shame? Like, isn't that shit for the actor himself? Like, he's probably grafted his bollocks off for years, and he's finally got the biggest role of his career, and this is the reaction. People are moaning about it, and they haven't even seen him in the role yet. He could be amazing, but this is the world that people have created with these woke policies. And it kind of reminds me of something Charlie Kirk once said, and give me a minute because a lot of people have mixed reviews of Charlie Kirk. But he once said about a black pilot, he once said, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to say, oh God, I hope he's properly qualified. And that is often taken out of context and really it was horrible for Charlie because it made him look like a massive racist. But what he later clarified in saying, and I'll read the quote out, he said, I was trying to be vulnerable with the audience in explaining that DEI invites unwholesome thinking. What I was saying was, that's not who I am, that's not what I believe, but it does make us worse versions of ourselves. The whole point of what I was saying was everything I look at now is through a hyper-racialized diversity quota lens because of their massive insistence to try and hit these racial hiring quotas. Of course, I believe anybody of any skin color can become a qualified pilot. And after watching a lot of Charlie Kirk, I really don't think he was racist at all, personally. In fact, if you look into his life, he helped a lot of black people. But that's another video for another day, and I've already covered it. But I think the point is a valid one in that all of these people online are prejudging this or coming at this with a negative slant because of what they perceive to be the real reason why he was hired. A woke agenda, a political agenda. And the irony of that is that this whole thing of promoting, more black people into these kind of positions is that it's about being inclusive and about eliminating racism. When in reality, it is only increasing the way people are viewing everything through a racial lens. You could argue it's promoting racism because people now feel like there's an injustice there. When this guy's done now wrong, he's just taken a fucking job on. And there'll be people who never would have cared if a black guy got an acting role and seen a black guy on the screen. They would never have thought anything. Who now, when they see the race swap of the Little Mermaid, of Snape, or whoever, and they think to themselves, why are all these characters who have grown up knowing to be white all of a sudden changing race? This is weird. And it makes them think about it. Before, there wasn't even a thought. And I think the guy, Papa Esidu, who's been cast in this role, is a victim of that. And as it happens, I've got two mates who are black actors, and they're two of the most talented people I've ever met. And I want them to get every opportunity humanly possible in the acting game. But I want them to get it because they're brilliant, not because people say it as a diversity hire or a quota to meet or anything like that. They don't need that. They're amazing. They will get that on merit if given the opportunity. And some people might argue, well, that's part of the problem, Brian. That's why this was introduced. Maybe people weren't getting opportunities. I think we're beyond that now. In 2026, I don't think that is going to happen. But if my mates got cast in this role and people were speaking about it like this, I'd be fucking gutted for them because this is a highlight of your career and this is the way the reaction is. But even with that said, that doesn't mean I don't understand how we've gotten to the point where people are reacting like this. It's very obvious. And it's a very complex thing, actually. And the easiest way to make it not complicated and eradicate this thinking is to just hire people based on their merit. And again, this guy might have been hired based on merit, but it's the backdrop of all of these quotas and that make the people feel the way they're feeling. But if there are no demographic targets, then no one's disadvantaged, and then you've got true equality then. And in speaking about this, I'm reminded of a story I heard recently from a kid I know, a young lad who's trying to get a job. He's applying to some big companies, and when he's filling out the forms, he's showing us, you can only fill out the application form and complete the application form if you don't tick the white box. There was no white box to tick. So you had to pick a minority and click apply, or you had to lie and say you're a minority to fill out the fucking application form. I can't believe that in 2026, in a country where in many places in the UK, white people are not the majority. We all know that. Multiculturalism is absolutely here and it's happening. So why would we be bringing race into hiring someone for any job when we're such a mixed community now? Maybe in the past, maybe that would have been a necessity. I don't know, but it fucking isn't now. But we know this comes from the top down. I've covered so many mental stories over the last few months. You could talk about the government pledging hundreds of millions to build new council houses for asylum seekers ahead of British-born people on the waiting list. There was that police story I covered where they dropped their standards in order to hire minorities, and in turn hired a black guy who had been accused of being a pedo. He then became a cop and used his cop powers to do more pedoing, literally rape people. Also, they could hit their diversity quotas. And this is why it pisses me off when they give it the big one about diversity as our greatest strength and all of that. But then they treat people differently, and it only keeps dividing people, which is why the reaction has been the way it has, in my opinion. If you treat everyone the same, then people aren't going to look at it that way anymore. And I know this is heavy shit to bring up about a Harry Potter casting, but I'm trying to give the the bigger picture here. People are in a state of mind right now where they are hyper aware of people being treated differently because of a woke agenda. And I think the anger, clearly by this reaction, it's just getting more and more and more. They've had enough. And they might even be completely off about it in this instance. And I feel sorry for the actor who's getting caught in the crossfire because it's not his fault, is it? But he's now becoming a symbol of like, we're fucking sick of this race changing and all of that. He's getting targeted, but it's not his fault. It's the system that they are angry at. But I thought it was important to discuss why the reaction has been so powerful instead of just branding everyone racists. Although that's never stopped the left-wing media, has it? Now, for me personally, I could give two shits that Snape is a black guy now. I think it's going to be interesting how they navigate like Harry's dad bullying him, and you know, they're going to need some extra black students in there just to make sure it doesn't look like he's singling the one out. But it's not like they've changed Harry Potter himself, is it? And I do think Alan Rickman as Snape was so amazing. No one, whether they were white or black, would have ever been able to do it the way he did it. So as much as people want close to that as possible, and I get maybe going in a different direction with a different vibe might reduce the level of comparisons of the old Snape and allow this guy to make it his own version and take the pressure off him a little bit, because fuck me, the pressure's really on. Like, he has to be amazing already now. And it's going to be even harder for him than it was for Alan Rickman, arguably, because when Alan Rickman was playing in the movies, no one knew, like, what side is he on? And it was a lot of mystery, and that mystery was a core component to the character. That isn't going to be there for this guy. It's going to be hard for him to build that suspense up when the cat's out the bag. But look, good luck to him. And I do think this has been blown out of proportion, obviously. And maybe people should be more worried about the 3 kids that they've cast. Because, I mean, look at them. We know how young actors fare. You know, in 10 to 15 years, one of them lot is going to be a drug addict, car crash, or even worse, Emma Watson. That would be sad. Not another one. To be fair to them, the last 3 actors weren't great. I think there's a low bar there. They should be able to beat that. They were no Macaulay Culkin or Matilda, were they? They weren't great. But look, I'm sure as long as they stick to the core story that everyone loved, people won't care. Once they start watching this, they won't care. Snape's black, Harry's a lesbian, no one will care. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's hard to do topics like this because I don't want to offend people really, but I like chewing the fat and then getting into topics that other creators are going to avoid and challenging myself a bit, and I hope you appreciate that. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to the True Geordie YouTube channel. I'll see you on the next one.